Hello and welcome to another episode of Anfield Watch. Today we're going to be talking about something that maybe isn't that much of a surprise, but still came as a bit of a surprise when the news was revealed last night. And to do that, I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Michael, a Liverpool content creator and obviously a massive Liverpool fan. Michael, welcome to the show.
Yeah, man. How are you? Yeah, listen, I'm buzzing. I'm like buzzing to talk about this, but I'm gutted about the news. Like, I think there's so much to be said in celebration of the player, and so much to be said in just lauding the praise he deserves to have, which I feel like he's finally getting. By the way, I feel like so many people have came out of the woodwork that have hated this lad or just ignored his abilities for so long, but now that it seems there's an end in sight for him, he's finally getting the adulation that I think he deserves. You know.
Yeah, and I guess, we've all heard the news by now, and I think we're all sad, and I think it's all still starting to sink in a little bit what Liverpool looks like without Salah. And that is sort of my question, like, because this, right, feels like the end of an era. It
Yeah, it
Salah leaving,
is.
that means that famous trio of Firmino and Mane is no longer there. Jurgen Klopp is no longer there. That first Premier League title winning team, the Champions League winning team, we've not got a lot of players left from that squad.
No, I mean, if you look at it, you got Gomez, you got Allison, you got Robbo, you got Van Dijk. I think away from that first Premier League winning team, I mean, Curtis Jones is still in there as well. He's
Elliot,
part of the
if you're
squad.
counting him, maybe because he.
If you think Elliot, well, depending on the manager next year, Elliot might still be a part of the squad. So it's that's a whole different video for you, Bence. But no, listen, I think yeah, listen, it is the end of an era, and I do think we are the old guard. The old guard needs to move on to allow the new to come in and to thrive, but it's a very hard balancing act to do. Something Ferguson was phenomenal at United, and Liverpool during the 80s, the 70s and 80s were brilliant at as well. You have these icons of the game, but you manage to ease them out just as the right new crop come in and reach their peaks. I think we've poorly managed that over the last couple of years, and it's led to a few difficult seasons. I think we are poorly managing the Salah situation too. I'm selfish. I don't want Salah to leave. I want Salah to retire here. I look at the market now and I think, right, who can come in and replace Salah? Well, no one can. You can't replace Salah in the same way you couldn't replace Jarrod, you know? So then how do you replace him? Bence, you're a statistician, you're a journalist, you're a researcher yourself. You'll know you make up for him not by an individual player, but by the team around him, by the numbers. In a Moneyball situation, you make up his numbers through multiple players, right? And that's kind of the situation we're in, I think. And I think Salah moves on, the balance of the team needs to be fixed in the summer. You think the Hughes and Edwards thing isn't sorted, slot isn't sorted. There's just so much uncertainty. I think from Salah's position, he's leaving at the right time because he's leaving in a season where, for the most part, people won't look at him to blame. He's going to get, again, he's going to get all the adulation. He's going to get the send-off that he deserves in a way. Potentially a send-off in Budapest if we're very fortunate. This could be a perfect send-off for him. I just wish that he was able to leave with the highs that we were all feeling last year. I feel like there is a stain on this season. I don't blame him for that stain. There's a million things that have happened before the season, during the season, etc., that have made this a hard one to digest for the players and for the fans. But no, it's awful to see him go. But listen, it's about celebrating who he is and what he's been for the club now, I think.
Yeah, and like I said, I think we were all sort of not so surprised that he's leaving at the end of the summer, but we were more surprised by the fact that this announcement just came all of a sudden. And I think the most surprising fact about it is the fact that Liverpool are going to let him go on a free, even though he still has 1 year left at the club. Like,
Yeah.
what's your take on that? Because I was quite taken aback by that, and it doesn't feel very Liverpool-like. These are sporting directors or recruitment people who are known for being clinical and not in tune with their emotions, so to speak, that they make decisions that are business decisions. This doesn't feel like a great business decision for Liverpool when realistically they might have sold him to a Saudi Arabian club because there's a lot of interest in him.
Well, I would argue the reason being that for this is I don't think Salah wants to go Saudi yet. I think Salah knows that he can't he will have looked at the situation in the summer with Nunes, right? Nunes couldn't get the move he wanted, which was to Italy, because they couldn't afford the price we were asking for. Nunes ended up in Saudi, not because he wanted to go there, but because we wanted to sell him there. And I think with Liverpool, we're very frugal. I think Salah and his team know that. And I think there's a very high likelihood they've gone, listen, we won't take any of the fees or anything like that. Cut our contract off so we can get the deal we deserve. And we can move to the team we want to move to, not a team you're going to dictate. And I've said in a video that's just came out now on X, Salah belongs at Italy for 2 seasons to go win a title. He belongs in at Munich to go win a title. He belongs at Atletico Madrid. He should go to a team now where he's going to play week in, week out and likely lift silverware. He can go Saudi when he's 30, 38, 39, you know? That's what he can do. But yeah, I don't see the need for him to go Saudi now. And I think that's the only reason. I think that's a big factor in the conversations, because they will have had conversations in January. We know they did. I think a big part of those conversations will have been, listen, if you want me gone, no problem. But I'm not going to the team you want to sell me to. I'm going to the team that I want to go to. I think maybe it was a respect thing, or maybe that. Maybe he said he was going to kick up a fuss, I don't know. But there was enough that went on behind closed doors, in my opinion, where Edwards and Hughes have gone, listen, best of both. Wish you the best. You get the send-off you deserve. You get to end on your terms, which for a player like him, he deserves. In the same way Jarrod deserved to leave, however he wanted to leave. These players should never leave Liverpool, in my opinion, but that's because I'm a fan. I'm not a financier, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree, and I completely agree with you about the fact that I think, and I said this on BBC News last night, I think he's still good enough to play at one of the top clubs in Europe, and I think he probably will play in Europe. I can't really see him going to Saudi yet,
No.
and I think that's what kind of it makes me think. The stuff that you said, it just makes me think Salah gave them an ultimatum almost. If you
Hmm.
don't let me go, I will stay. You will pay me the 20 million or so that he gets in wages per year. They'll pay him that for another season.
Hmm.
And then he'll leave on a free a year later, but Liverpool will be 20 million worse off. So I
Yep.
think that's probably the reason why Liverpool have sort of been forced into this decision. And again, this isn't like Liverpool, or the Liverpool that was supposedly sort of, that's what everyone bills Michael Edwards or Richard Hughes as. They're meant to be the people who plan ahead,
Yeah,
who
I mean,
make calculated decisions, and this just
yeah.
doesn't feel like that. I feel like
No, it doesn't.
the Salah contract last season obviously give Mo his dough. All the fans wanted it to happen,
Hmm.
and it just makes me wonder: did Hughes and Edwards really wanted it to happen, or
No,
were they
they
almost like
didn't.
they almost just have no choice? They had to give him that contract.
I think they were in a lose-lose scenario for them. In hindsight, they'll say they were in a lose-lose scenario because on the one, and I'm talking from their perspective, not from mine. Let me make that abundantly clear. But from their perspective, I think Edwards and Hughes will have gone, right, we don't want to give him a contract because of his age, but he's had one of the best individual seasons a Premier League player has ever had. If we don't do it, we'll look stupid. But if we do it, and then next season we don't have a good season, and then maybe he loses a yard of pace or he doesn't play very well, what are we doing financially? It's an awful decision. And then they've realised this season that's what's came to be. Because if they got rid of him, there would have been uproar. But now they've kept him. Internally, there's probably been uproar. I think they made the right decision because I'm a fan and I love Salah. And I also don't think Salah's necessarily at fault for a lot of what's happened this season. He could have played better, 100%. And, I think everything that happened after the Leeds game in December wasn't the most ideal thing on the planet. But also, we don't know the circumstances behind closed doors. So I don't necessarily know what spurred it on. I think Hughes and Edwards know, listen, they have 1 year left on their contract. I think the way they handled the summer and this season, they may look at it as a stain on their reputation, or if they've got a bit too much pride, they may go, well, it's not our fault. But I think Hughes and Edwards are probably smart enough to go, externally, this doesn't look good on either of us. And it's up to them whether they want to go, right, 12 more months, let's fix our reputation. Let's fix our reputation and put Liverpool in the right direction. Or whether they accept, this is how we are going to be viewed now. They may not care how they're viewed. They're businessmen at the end of the day. And they have got enough success behind them where one-off season, for the most part, probably will be fine. But I do think this has put a bit of a stain on them. And it's certainly left a bit of a bitter taste in Liverpool fans' mouths as to how we've been run in the last 12 months.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. I still think long term, Hughes' transfer sort of a record in the last 12 months or so could still prove out to be hugely successful. I mean, the players Liverpool signed are
100%.
exciting, and the
100%.
rebuild, I think, hasn't finished yet. That kind of brings me on to the last part of this video is like, what happens now? Because
Mm.
Salah's gone, I think we sort of expected it to happen in the summer.
Yeah.
There's been murmurs, there's been talks about a Salah replacement, but now it's actually gonna happen. We're actually in that stage. What happens? Who do Liverpool bring in? How do Liverpool replace him?
Well, I mean, Benson, listen, you know better than me because you've got your connections that he'll never admit to, but people don't realize, right, that Bence has got his ear to the ground. I guarantee you. Okay, he'll know before all of us. You knew Kirkes before all of us. Don't come on now.
Yeah, but that's different. With Milosh, I've known him for a long time, so that was different.
Hey, you've got to give me the scoop next time. If he signs a contract extension, I want to know. No, listen, I think Elise is the pipe dream. I think the only way Elise happens is if Salah went Munich, and that's because there's literally no one that they can replace Elise at Munich for what he's doing at the moment. And then Munich will be in no mood to sell to a team that stole Wirtz off him last summer, which is what we did. Originally he was all set to go there. So
But
that I can't.
gave them Luis Diaz.
We did at a bit of a bloody serve, bit of a fee, which looks like it was a good fee in hindsight because he's played very well this season. Now, I can't see us getting Elise. I think Diomande seems very likely. The fee for Diomande, I'm unsure on. I haven't really read too much about the fee, but he looks brilliant. But I'm a little bit hesitant to bring in a 19-year-old to be our starting right winger next season in the Prem. And I feel like, especially if Slot is the manager next season, I don't think he'd be too aggressive in playing the 19-year-old week in, week out. So then I go, right, who are we going to bring in? Diomande seems like a decent option. Barcola is interesting. I like Barcola, but you want to play with end product. I just think it's not a particularly bright position right now to go for. If you looked at the Premier League, if you want to try and buy someone in the Premier League, this probably won't be well received when I say this, but just stick with me. If West Ham got relegated, I would look to buy two wingers, and one of them would be Bowen. I think if you bought in Bowen and Diomande, now you're talking. Because I think with
You know
Bowen,
what?
if West
This
Ham
is
get
literally what
relegated,
I was gonna say. This is
go on.
literally what I was gonna say as well. Bowen and Diomande. That was gonna be my question because I
Interesting.
it makes sense. You know?
It does. Because the thing with Bowen as well, if West Ham get relegated, you think that 50, 60 million they'd be demanding for a 30-year-old gets cut in half because his camp will force to move. We won't be the only team snooping around Bowen, but you think United improved their front line greatly. So have Chelsea. Arsenal, they have Saka and they have Madueke. So then Liverpool, not that they have a free run, but in the Premier League, they certainly, I feel, would be the most appealing side for him. Plus, Bowen idolises Salah, he said in multiple interviews. So I feel like he must watch a fair amount of Liverpool. I feel like it makes a lot of sense. But if I brought Bowen in, I would bring in a young winger. And I think that would be the two I would bring in. I think Bowen would make a lot of sense. I think Diomande would make a lot of sense. If I had to try and look out to other leagues, there ultimately isn't too. I like Simeone at Atletico Madrid, but he's not really the type of winger that we go for, or the type of midfielder that we go for to play out there. There isn't ultimately too much out there at the moment on the wing, which I look at and I go, wow, that's the one. A player I'd have a pop at that Madrid will never sell. I would have a pop at Endrick. I know that's a bit of a rogue shout, but I've really been enjoying watching his highlights in France. I think he's an exciting player. But this is the thing with Salah. I think when you replace Salah, you can't look to replace the player. You kind of need to look to what would benefit the team around. You've got Ekitike, who's a young, hungry, and selfish forward. You've got Isak, who's a target man. You've got Wirtz, who likes space. He wants runners. You need a winger that's going to benefit that rather than a winger who's going to replace what Salah did, which, each to their own in how they interpret that.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying, I think, for a year now, that Liverpool need a facilitator winger after Salah, not necessarily a goal scorer. And if you look at Salah's role in the team, he has become Liverpool's sort of prime creator over
Yeah.
not this season, but the seasons prior. He has been dominating in those chances created and those metrics. So I think ultimately that's what Liverpool have to replace because I think they've replaced his goal scoring ability with Ekitike and with Isak, who we've not seen, but in my opinion, he's sort of 50% of the Salah replacement.
Mm. Yeah, no, I agree. I think I think Verts and Isak and Ekitike are all in part a replacement of Salah, which is crazy to say because he's one player, but it's a bit of a Moneyball where I mean it's not Moneyball because of how much money we've bloody spent, but it's a Moneyball in the situation of you're trying to make up for one player with multiple, and I think that's what we're doing here. And it's a fair way of doing it. You've got to spread it out, and then if you're lucky, one or two players really kick on, and you overload that. This season, I like Verts. I think he'll settle well. I think I like Ekitike. Isak is a worry for me, but I hope he fixes up and we can see the best of him. My worry at the moment is the left and right hand side. It's just such a concern. I think down the middle we're actually pretty set, but the left and the right hand side, I love Rio Ngamoa. Cody Gakpo for me is a solid squad player, but he's not the lad I'd want on the team sheet at the moment. And the right wing, there's no one in the club. But it's not like we're losing Salah. Oh, don't worry, the young lad can step up now. We've got no one in the club. We've got no one in the
Joshua
club that's coming
Abbey,
through.
15 years old. He's still very young. He's very promising.
He's from what you hear, he's pushing for a move. No,
I
isn't that what?
I think he might stay, I think he might stay. I think there's a better chance of him staying now. But
Oh,
this is kind of why you mentioned obviously Diomande makes sense because he can play on the left side, he can play on the right. So
mm,
you've got a winger who could
yeah,
be your Salah replacement, but could also kind of be your Gakpo replacement. And then you bring in Bowen, who can also, predominantly plays on the right. He's left-footed, so you've kind of got your Salah replacement in terms of output.
yeah.
And I think it could be a good sort of combination of attackers. I feel like Liverpool fans are not going to like it because there's already sort of,
Yeah.
I don't know, sort of snobbery, I would say, about Bowen. And I think Diomande is obviously
No,
19 years
and it is
old and
snobbery.
improving.
You've nailed it. Like you've nailed it. It is snobbery. Like because I think sometimes you think, oh, they play in that league, therefore this, or they play at that level, therefore this. Jarrod Bowen is one of the best in inside attacker, inside wingers rather that the league's seen in years. Like he is. Go look at his stats. Like he's a phenomenal player, Jarrod Bowen, and people just go, oh, plays in claret and blue or whatever. So therefore, no, not at all, not at all. I think Jarrod Bowen would be a very astute signing. I think I look around who else could be going down or even who's in and about there. There isn't a single player I take from Spurs. I take Van der Veen actually, to be honest, but I've really not enjoyed how he's played the last 3 or 4 months. I think he's been quite disappointing, his mentality, to be honest. But then, like,
Vuskovic
you
is
don't.
better. He's on loan at Hamburg from Spurs. I think Vuskovic is
Yeah,
better.
yeah, no, I think he is better. I know who you're on about, but I'd be bloody shocked if they sold him to a Prem club. Because he is a player that won't be at Spurs ever. I don't think he'll ever play for them. I'd be shocked if he did. Then you
Yeah.
think there's no one really around it. You think they can really replace Salah. I'm sure people who know football better than I or watch other leagues better than I would, they'll have names, but it might be a case. I would like it to be a case if we do what we did with Salah and Marley. I don't want us to go spend 80 mil on another player. Go find a player that you can buy for 40 mil that has been good that is gonna be great. Like I think a signing that I really liked this season in January. And don't get me wrong, he's a young lad, and they paid a fair bit for him. But Ryan at Bournemouth, he is brilliant. He is so exciting. I love him. And listen, I don't know if I can swear on Anfield. Watch, it's my debut. I got to be careful. I don't know what I can and
It's
can't
all
do.
right.
But like, yeah, I just really, I don't know. I like Ryan a lot. I think he's talented and quick. He's intelligent footballer. But there's not too many of them out there at the moment. So I don't really know what we do. But Salah is just a brilliant player. I don't even feel like we should be talking about what comes after Salah at the moment. We need to focus on celebrating who he is. And he's just a phenomenal player for 9 years. One of the best the Prem's ever seen. Should be in everyone's Premier League all-time 11. And he certainly makes every Liverpool all-time 11 on the right wing. That's a certainty.
Yeah, I think that's a good note to end it on, and I completely agree. I think these last few months should be about Salah's brilliance and greatness, and hopefully, like you said, he'll take us to Budapest and he'll have one last trophy to celebrate. But Mike,
I
thanks for
hope so.
coming on. And if people want to find you, where can they find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me on X under Q Talks Football. I put videos out purely on X. They seem to do quite well. People seem to like them at the moment. I'm sure that'll change one day. But for now, people seem to be tolerating me, in my opinion. So if you want to come hop over there, give a video a watch, give a opinion in the comments, and I'll be sure to reply.
Yeah, all of Mike's stuff will be in the description below, and I thoroughly recommend giving him a follow and taking a look at his videos. He's got good stuff. He speaks eloquently, like you just heard now. So if you want to listen to him more, definitely give him a follow. And as always, if you enjoy the video, make sure to subscribe to our channel as well and give it a thumbs up.